Hi, my name is Chris Melnick, and I'm a realtor in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Today, I'm talking about the biggest reason why Canada doesn't have affordable housing. To cut to the chase, it's because buildable land is too expensive, and current policies are only making land even more expensive through artificial scarcity. But first, let's step back and talk about home prices. Now, what makes a home cost what it costs? Well, for a new construction home, be it a detached, semi-detached, or condo, it's a combination of the cost of the structure and the land. Now, for this video, we're just focusing on the land because it's the biggest challenge. I'll talk about the structure in another video. Now, even as recently as the 1980s or 1990s, buildable land across the country was plentiful and relatively cheap. I'm sure you've heard stories of people buying homes during this time for $100,000 to $200,000 in Vancouver or Toronto, and now those homes are worth over $2 million. Did the structures appreciate by millions? No, the land did. And this is because in the last number of decades, there has been a big push to restrict the creation of new developments and building lots in the name of stopping things like urban sprawl. This has made its way into policy and law and is the primary reason that land and thus housing is so expensive in Canada. They designate massive areas of land as agricultural or just leave it as unused government-owned, which creates scarcity and competition for the remaining space. And that scarcity is why a townhouse building lot in Vancouver or Toronto can cost over $1 million alone. And just the land associated with building each condo unit in those cities can be upwards of $500,000. But here are some interesting facts to think about. Number one, Canada has among the most land per capita out of any developed country in the world. In fact, by definition, we have among the most ability to spread out or sprawl. And I know some people are going to say, well, most of the land is too cold or uninhabitable. But just take a look at how far north some populated cities are, like Saskatoon, Edmonton, or even Calgary. Now, look at all the land south of that. Also, if you look at the rankings of the population density versus arable land, which is land suitable for farming, you get similar results too. And if land has the appropriate climate for growing crops, it's likely suitable to live on. It's no uninhabitable Arctic tundra. And number two, I know there are many environmentalists who will say that we cannot cut down any trees or hurt the environment in any way. And that's why they're against anything that resembles urban sprawl. But here is a key perspective you have to remember. That land for housing represents an incredibly small amount of land necessary for the underlying driver for the need of all that housing in the first place, which is the growing population. Now that sounds complicated, but think of it this way. A decent-sized suburban lot where you can build a detached home on is about 6,000 square feet. And if the road was needed for that home, you can tack on another 750 square feet or so for a total of 6,750 square feet. Now, according to the last census, the average household size was about 2.5 people. What this means is that for every additional person that you want to house in a detached home, they effectively take up 2,700 square feet of land. But here is another key thing that every additional person in the country needs: food. Feel free to Google how much land is needed to grow food for one person or raise cattle on to feed one person for a year. And I'm not talking about theoretical estimates if we all become vegan and grow with vertical hydroponics. I'm talking about current diets and current food production processes. The estimates, of course, vary depending on the fertility of the land, the climate, a person's diet, and how much they eat. But it ranges from about 1.2 acres to 5.5 acres for each person. That works out to about 52,000 to 240,000 square feet needed to feed each additional person we have in the country. This means that we need between 19 to 89 times the amount of land to house someone in a so-called inefficient single-family detached suburban home than we need to feed them. And yes, this food could come from other countries, but if you really care about the environment, does it matter what country that environment is in? Or is it okay to exploit other less wealthy countries for our benefit? And for some reason, no one is going to protest this. Yet many people are up in arms about anything that resembles urban sprawl. Yet it is key to making homes cheaper and affordable. And this has been done in Canada for hundreds of years, and in civilization for thousands of years. It's only just recently that the mindset has changed, which exactly coincides with housing unaffordability. And food is just one component of the overall space needed for every additional person. Even if people live in micro bubbles, there is also additional space needed for all the government services and amenities. So space to physically live is an absolute drop in the bucket compared to all the other space needed. So why are we restricting it and making it so expensive? In conclusion, if we want affordable housing, we need to be heavily limiting immigration or population growth and/or heavily promoting sprawl to make real change to the price of homes. Think of where our land use policies have gotten us. Are they working? If not, should we change them, or should we continue on the same course and hope for different results? What do you think? Feel free to leave your opinion in the comments. Goodbye.